It's about ways we use our practical and spiritual tools, gifts, and talents in our community, in our home lives, even in our church environment. If we're doing the church and doing spirituality um, uh, together. And I have a great guest for you today. Her name is Jelisa. She's from Priestess Potions. And I am going to give you a little background on her. I'm going to read it for you. Priestess Potions is the visionary owner and creator of a unique wellness blend that blends natural medicines and spiritual practices to support manifesting your lifestyle. Jalisa's passion for holistic healing and empowering others shines through every product she creates. She offers tools for self care, spiritual growth, and living a life that aligns you with your highest and greatest potential. So, as we welcome her in, here we go. Here we go. Hello. Welcome. No, and I don't think I have you muted. Okay, let's give her 1 second. Let's see. Okay, she's gonna be right back. Let's try it again. So while we're waiting for her to come in, and we're going to be patient because that's who we are, I attune myself to the creative impulses that dwell in and seek to express through, in, and as me, as I have this talk show today, so that you take what resonates from it and leave what doesn't. So let's try again. Let's see.
No, she can't.
Now I can hear you.
Oh, you can.
Yes, now I can.
Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. I'm
There
so
we
glad. How are you?
I'm good. I'm good. I'm
I'm so
great.
glad.
I've done your introduction. Matter of fact, I wrote it down because, hey, I'm not going to claim that my memory is the best. So, writing it down helps me, right?
Yes,
So,
absolutely.
what they know is that priestess potions. Tell us how that came to be. The gifts, the talents, the skills. Have you always known that they were spiritual gifts and talents, or did you stumble upon them, or were they just something that you thought was just a regular kind of thing, and then
Mhm.
you kind of did you have a spiritual awakening? Give us a little juicy tidbits, please.
Yes, of course. I would say, well, first off, thank you so much for your patience and for inviting me on. I'm so excited to be here. I've been I've been watching your videos for a few months now, and the frequency, the energy I get from them is just so beautiful and so elite and such a great experience. And so I'm so glad to finally be on here with you.
Thank you so much, and thank you for diving into this. Is new for me. This is really new. My soul conversations with Sandra, it's podcast. It dives into the whole experience, but it didn't really get down to the nitty gritty of how everybody uses their different talents, their different skills, and their different crafts. And I hear people using them in the
No
collective,
problem.
right? Um,
Mhm.
And for me, that word collective, sometimes I kind of use it as a clique, right?
Mhm.
Because I'm kind of that person that wants to go back out into the world that I came from and utilize my skills, my gifts, my talents. And I want to find out how other people feel about that, because one size just doesn't fit all. What's good for me might not be good for anybody else, but for somebody else, their skills may help someone else. Do you know what I mean?
Absolutely.
So
Absolutely.
give us your a little backstory and share your
Yeah.
gifts, okay?
Absolutely. So I've been spiritual for as long as I could remember. Since I was very, very young, I've been interested in spiritual topics. I like to think it started with The Craft, that 90s movie about the witchy girls. But
Mhm.
I know my interest in this stuff is far older than even that. But ever since I was young, I was interested in the archetype that we know today as the witch. As I grew older, it started to become more resonating with the medicine woman, and now it's the priestess. So this idea of service to spirit, service to others, just keeps elevating for me. But as far as Priestess Potions goes, the thing is, I've always been interested in herbal medicine and holistic healing, even though I didn't even know what that was when I was younger. I knew nothing about grounding and earthing and all this fun stuff. Um, but I still felt very connected to the land, the earth, the sky, the everything. I just didn't know have like a language to describe what it was I was experiencing. All of that, and then I'm going on my career path. At the time, I thought I wanted to be a social media manager, and I did it. I made it happen. I made it happen for myself, but in doing so, I also got extremely disconnected from myself and burnt out. So that was quite the experience.
Okay.
Also, I would say while I was at a job I was at previously, was I was
Hold
experiencing.
on.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
No, you're fine.
Yeah, it's kind of like this is, oh, what happened to you? We lost you. Hold on a second. She'll come back. Hmm. She'll come back. She'll probably have to click the link again, but she'll be back. Let's see. We'll just be patient, guys. And she's absolutely right. You know, sometimes we have these skills that we've always used when before we've had an awakening moment, you know, and and sometimes we want to abandon them because we don't think they have a purpose. And when you go and you hear she's back, hold on a second, I'm gonna let her in. Let's let her in. Here we go.
Can you
She's
hear me?
Yes, I can.
Oh, good.
Yes. Yes, I can.
Okay.
I'm sorry, this restream should be showing me anybody coming in, and it's not letting me see anybody coming into the YouTube to see if anybody has questions. And that's something I'll have to work on. So
I think we're in Mercury retrograde, if I'm not mistaken. So that could be a reason why. I don't know.
yeah, yeah, because it was working earlier and now it's not, but I'm not going to worry about it. So all right, let's keep going. I'm not even
Yes.
going to deal with this phone thing. I don't know what it's doing. It's
Yes.
I'm trying to silence it.
No worries. And just so you know, every time it glitches on me, I just will sign out and sign right back in.
Okay,
So no
okay,
worries. But I got into, so I've always been interested in spiritual stuff. I've always been interested in manifesting. I would say when I was younger, though, I wasn't working with a mentor. So I was kind of, I guess, for lack of a better term, ear hustling off of people on YouTube and reading books and trying to put it all together.
right,
And what ended up happening is I got into a really great pattern of manifesting based off of frequency, but it was hard for me to maintain it. So it's like I would get into high frequencies and I noticed the connection between the way I was feeling and the things I was pulling in. I've pulled in some really great things, all inclusive trip to Paris. I mean, really great things, awards for, things I worked on in college, all types of stuff. But something else I wasn't prepared for is as you go along this spiritual journey, eventually your shadows show up, and there's really no true manual unless you're working with someone, or you're just connected, very much so connected with spirit, to address that and to adjust. And so I went into dark night of the soul. I became depressed, depleted, disconnected, and it started to really come to a head while I was at the last job I was at. um, and so what I would do, the way it connects to Priestess Potions is, I never lost that spiritual side of myself. I would just, relegate her to the weekends. And in my mind, my 9 to 5 was funding my true self and my true interest. And I was pretty satisfied with that, but not completely. um and I would make these potions on the weekend, body oils, herbal mixes, salves, all types of things, because it would help me calm down and decompress from work. It would also help me get back into my body because I'm using my hands. And naturally, when you do simple tasks and you're very present, it brings down stress. So that's what I would do, and I would take herbal workshops on the weekend and just learn as much as I could and soak up as much as I could. And then eventually the pandemic hit, and everything came to a stop. No one saw that coming. And I'm not saying that, the pandemic was a great thing by any means, but it allowed me to pause and really think about, what am I doing here? Where am I headed? Because I'm not happy and I'm burnt out. And by the time we got to the pandemic, I was so burnt out that I couldn't even have and enjoy a cup of coffee because it would send me into a spiral of fight or flight. And so I started to, since we were, at home anyway, rely on herbal remedies,
Yeah.
to kind of get me up and going in the morning. Shilajit, maca powder, traditional Chinese medicine, medicinal herbs, all types of stuff. I
Mhm.
bought it all. I've tried it all, and then I started mixing stuff for myself.
Right.
And then during the pandemic, I decided that I'm just going to go for it because I think everyone was sort of trying new things with all this extra time they had. And I decided to make Priestess Potions a thing. And by the time we started to get back into the normal swing of things at my job, um, because I had been getting my frequency together, I had this feeling and desire to start this business in the back of my mind. You know, things naturally progressed almost on their own in a way. That job came to an end.
Hmm.
Um, Mysteriously, somehow it came to an end. They let go like a third of the staff, and that I was one of them. And at first, I was really sad and upset about it. And then, hold on, Gianni. Hold on, Gianni. Sorry, my nephews are here.
Oh, that's
Um,
okay. Hi, Gianni.
she said hi. He's like, "Where's my mom? She'll be back, okay?" Go back in the room, please. Go back in the room, please. Okay. Go back in the room. Sorry. Um, yeah, so the job naturally came to an end. I wasn't wishing for it to end, but what I would do is, there's little things I would do, not on purpose, just, whatever. I remember because we had to go back to work into the city, and I would always pass this chocolate shop where I live, on my way home. And I noticed whenever I got home, by the time I got home from the city, I live in Jersey City currently, it would be like 7 o'clock. So that chocolate shop was long closed for the day by the time I got home. And I would just think, man, it would be nice to, be able to be home, come home in time to catch this chocolate shop that's open. Little
Mhm.
things like that. In the morning, sometimes I would get up very early and go to the park. I live very close to a park, and just spend some time in nature because that helps to calm me down. And I would think, man, it would just be so nice if I could just, if there was a situation where I could spend hours in the park as much as I want and then go to work. So in a way, it was like I was putting these wishes out there with very little resistance, right? Because I'm not thinking, well, what if it doesn't happen? Or, what would need to happen for it too? I was just kind of like, it would be nice. And lo and behold, this happened. I got like a whole when the job came to an end, I got a whole what do you call that? Severance
Package.
package,
Yeah,
which helped
severance
fund
package.
my business. Yeah.
Mhm.
I was able to live off of unemployment for a while. And so that with my savings and the severance package, and I was able to live very comfortably and do priestess potions.
Ah,
So yeah, the universe kind of just opened up this portal for me and I decided to
yeah,
just
kind of
step
go,
through.
yes, yes. What
Yes.
next? What next? I'm ready
What
for more,
next?
right?
So that's kind of how I started with this business. I know that was a long-winded answer.
No,
So
it was very well because the COVID did the same thing for me. It was a catalyst. By no means do I shirk the fact that there were people that got sick and this, folks that lost people and everything. It was just a vibrational moment that changed a lot of people's lives. Some of that moment was a get your ass in gear moment, right?
yes.
For a lot of people. And I was one of those because I had put my business, the business that a lot of one person who was like, she was the go-getter woman. Her and her daughter were, they just be here, there, and everywhere. And they said they were listening to my daughter, who's was in her young adults, say, Mom, what you do, you've been doing it for 20 years, well, not 20, well over 20 years. Okay, I'll tell you guys, what, almost 40 years. Okay, so,
Mm-hmm.
and I had more ups than downs with working in the industry that I worked in. I
Mm-hmm.
really loved when I was with people and talking to people and helping them while I was in these corporations, that I was also, not corporations, mom and pop companies, helping them
Mm-hmm.
to grow so that eventually they can do what they want to do, which is, most of them, it wasn't never about employees. It was about growing their business to sell it, because they
Wow.
wanted to make a profit. They wanted to live out their dreams. They didn't want to have a job. They wanted to be trendsetters and travel and whatnot. So they had the same type of things that or the same type of goals that we want,
Yeah.
right? They just happened to be the ones that had the business first, and I just happened to be an employee. But I was very good at what I did, even though it wasn't necessarily, it was good. It was a great, I was good. The skill, the craft, everything was good. It took me well after the pandemic to find out that that wasn't, just because I was good at it, it wasn't my passion. It,
Yeah.
and that's why it was so easy for me to put it on a back burner. That's why it was so easy for me to allow the excuses to come in. When the pandemic hit, I had just been on a job for about a year. It wasn't a great job. I didn't really, matter of fact, the thought in it was, I don't think this job is for me. That just happened to be the manifesting thought that I was holding, but never really said out loud. Every time I would go into work, it was like, I'm working for people who, for my boss is, that younger thing. They're younger than me, and they're telling me a lot of stuff to do that I know, that's not going to work, but they don't want to hear that. They just
Yeah.
want a person to do it. So
Yeah.
I do it. It didn't work out. And then, and so just as I said, it's not going to work for me, I kind of said, all of a sudden, the pandemic hit. The job that I was working with sent everyone. I mean, literally, they packed everyone and sent them home with all the equipment, all the desktops, everything, right? And we
Mm-hmm.
worked like that for a while. They thought that they were going to make it through the pandemic, and then they had to lay off. Well, what is that? Last hired, first fired.
Yeah.
I had just been there. I had just made the year mark, became an employee. But hey, but you know what? I didn't stress about it because in that moment, it was like you said, I had my EDD. Um, I wasn't stressing about it. I just said to myself, I'm just going to stay on EDD. I'm not going to stress myself about trying to find work while the pandemic was going on. And then for me, the divine took their finger and pushed my company, which is called Marshall Account Solutions, pushed it back up on a front burner. And I
Mm,
sat there with it on the front burner and said, what do I want to do with this? And I heard this little voice in me. It was my higher being saying, well, who do you want to be before you before what do you want to do with it, right? And then after, it's like, oh, in order to manifest, I gotta know who I want to be. And then after I know who I want to be, embodying me, what,
mm,
what do the I that knows I really want to be want to see happen with this company, right? Who do I want it to serve?
yeah.
How do I want to serve? And the embodiment of me is, I don't really like the accounting part of it. I like working with the people and helping them get through, figuring out. Some of them started companies just thinking, oh, I used to work in an orchestra. I used to write music, for a living, and I thought I wanted to do a music store. But they knew nothing about the business, right? And then as the divine started to open up more about me, and I stopped resisting everything else. Then I found out, oh, this is what I want to do. I want to show other people that they can sit down at the seat of their soul, not be afraid of them diving into the depth of the abyss of themselves and find out who they are, and then find out what they want to do with being a business person or a business owner, or some of them not even wanting to be a business owner. See, there are a lot, I realize that there are a lot of people that get in and are business owners and are trying to teach each other to get out from, or other people to get out from under the corporate life. But you got to ask them, what do they really want to do? Some people really want to be employees. Some
Hmm.
people really only want to, they like working.
Yeah.
They like working for other people. They like the health care. They like making sure that they get 2 checks a month or 3 checks a month and have 2 weeks vacation that's paid. And I went, this is what I want to show people. You know, and without the vibrational aspects of COVID, I wouldn't I wouldn't have that wouldn't have that was the catalyst that pushed me into that momentum without resisting it. Well, no, my ego still had a little bit in there.
Mm.
So that's my next question. How much did you have to, in order now to know who you are and what you're doing? You've got EDD, you've got your severance, and you've got your business, and you've got your product, and you become the person behind the marketing. How much of that was resistance from your ego, your subconscious mind?
Wow. I mean, in the beginning it was a lot. It's been a journey for me
Mhm.
becoming a business owner, because what you said about some people are comfortable, want to be employees, there's no shame in that. Nothing's wrong with that. If that's your jam, if you like the comfort of, having objectives every day, very clear objectives, and having someone to report to, and that safety net of having a consistent check every other month, that's fine. I wasn't happy doing that, but I was used to doing that. So that's where the resistance came in for me. First off, in the beginning, I was mourning the job because I was there damn near like 5 years. So for me, that was a nice chunk of my time in one place. And the way it happened was kind of funky. So there was a little bit of frustration with that. But once I started to see it as like a golden ticket opportunity where I can like get on this train and go somewhere. I don't know exactly where, but somewhere I really want to be that's not here. I was like, things started to shift for me. And then as I went about the business for the first 6 months, I was kind of like, I think I was kind of being a weirdo, for lack of a better term, because I was so used to being an employee. So I had to get over the fact that no one's going to tell me to get up and go live or create a video or make a product or sign up, do some research on markets or go make some connection. No one's going to tell me that. And at first it felt like bad, but now it feels really good because for the first time in my life, I get to create. Now that I'm over a lot of that resistance, some of it comes up a little bit here and there, but now that I'm over some of that resistance, I get to create a very balanced life that's not so disconnected. Like, I think it's I think it's weird that we spend so much time indoors. I think it's, yeah, I think it's strange that we have built a society in this country at least where it's like we're more concerned about getting the bag or chasing the money and the American dream, which is really people think white picket face is really about stability and comfort and safety. But that once you get over that and understand that that doesn't truly exist, then the world is your oyster because you can do anything with what you have currently. So once I let go of this idea of job equals safety, it doesn't, because I had a job and I lost it. So lots of people had a job before the pandemic and it's gone.
Yeah,
AI is now here, so a lot of jobs are going to be changing and shifting in the next 10, 20 years and now even.
yeah,
Um especially writing jobs. But um, once I got over that, I started to see the gift in this situation, and to start to build a life that more reflects who I am, like truly, and what I want.
yeah.
I hope that answers your question.
Yes, it does because it does. And I will tell most people that when the catalyst was that I towards, I mean, the latter, I don't know, 7 years before, well before pandemic hit, even well before I actually started my company. And, I mean, I went through the whole thing. I got business license. I got blah, blah, blah. Got to
Yeah.
the part where, oh, you mean I have to market this? And of course, my friend is off on her next adventure. So it's like, excuse me, I'm sitting there going, what? You know,
Mhm.
that kind of thing. But well before that, I was also having the thing going, you should retire early,
Mm.
right? And having people, and this is what people can also be your tied to your ego, because your ego can listen to them and twist words or even amplify words. Having people say,
Mm.
if you retire early, you're giving the government a lot of your money, you know. So basically, it's don't retire until the last moment so you can get all, right? Instead of, maybe early retirement would let me do some of the things that I would want to do. Okay. But because that was being, because my egoic system, my unconscious system that I'm supposed to have, guys, there, me, I do not believe, and I share, the divine has shared with me, it's not about an ego death. Ego was given to you for a reason.
Mm.
Ego gave me the ability to see the outside world as it was. to bring it in so I could either do one of two things. Either I could judge it like my unconscious wants me to judge it, therefore I stay the same and I don't step out of boxes, or take a giant leap into the unknown of me and just discern it and go, do I want to go ahead and do this anyway? Well, I didn't, right? But that energetic energy of COVID, when I got laid off, by the way, guys, when I got laid off, I didn't even argue it. I didn't resist it. I didn't feel bad about it. I knew it was time, because I still had those little tidbits that were telling me I'm not meant for this place. I First
Yes.
off, I'm not meant to take direction knowing that somebody could be totally wrong and cost anybody, not just the owners of the company, but the employees of the companies that's going to um, that are going to be participants in a negative reaction of the company. I couldn't do that. So me, I had to say, oh, hear that thing about, well, the old fogies have to make room for the new ones. This is true. Okay. But at the same time, I was working, going, hey, that's not right. But at the same time, not wanting to rock the boat, because I was lowest on the totem pole as far as my ego was telling me. Right. So I
Mm-hmm.
had already started that internal dialogue. And believe me, the internal dialogue that I had started to, Jelisa, it was like the internal dialogue was very, as long as it was active, it was pretty powerful. That it
Mm-hmm.
was going to be it was going to be a massive motivator, manifester moment for me. And I think that at that point in time, when we all got let go, it was the cogs of the wheel turning, saying, Sandra, you didn't want to be here anyway, so why even resist it? But at that same point, that was the divine pushing forward my business, because it had been on hold for about 2 years, 3 years, right? In the back burner, saying, I'll get to it in a minute. I just have to figure out how to be the market myself and brand myself, and all these things that, oh, I don't know how to do. Well, it got pushed to the forefront. The SBA started having free classes that I could take. Well, guess what? I'm not working. I'm getting my uh, EDD. And as long as I was getting that, and then as soon as that, matter of fact, that ran out. And then during COVID, nobody from EDD responded to me, because I didn't have any more money. So guess what? This idea came in from, and I know it's from my higher being, that said, well, retire. And literally, I think I had a conversation with my baby brother, and I said, I think I might retire, right? And then he says, oh, well, start calling, Social Security now, because they might not pick up. Girl, they picked up on my first ring.
Mm.
And I mean, it was a real person. And
Oh.
literally, I said, I discussed with him what I was seeking. I told him I had 2 more years to go, and I told him what some people said. He says, well, all I've got to ask you is, do you really think this is for you? Do you know if this could give you any benefits? And I said, yeah, it would give me more benefit to work on my other projects. And I explained to him my projects. He says, oh, you're an inspirational and motivational master manifester that's teaching. And I said, he put it in the exact words. Yes,
Wow.
this is what I want to do for me. He says, well, it sounds like you're already on the road to that. Let me see. He started, telling me, well, you could get this and you could get this and you need to do this. I didn't know, girl, he was filling out the form for me. He was
Wow.
doing an online application for me. Then at the end, he says, "Well, Miss Marshall, I've done the application for you already. I've set up a phone interview. All you here's the questions that they're going to ask you, and I'm going to give you the answers right now. Do you have a pen and pencil? This is what you say next." And he said, and literally 2 days later, 2 days, Jelisa, two
Mm,
days later was the phone interview. And when as soon as I picked up the phone, the young lady asked the three questions. I answered them. She said, "Okay, ma'am." She says, "Your first check begins next month," because it was that was in May. My birthday's in June, and and they do it as of your birth date.
mm,
When
okay.
you were, and I was doing that 2 years prior to my real retirement, right? So
Yeah.
it was about sitting down. Even the divine had people sit down and have ask these questions that I was doing embodiment to,
Mm,
right?
yeah.
And okay, how do I want to utilize this? Oh, I really want to, this guy said it exactly the way it was. I want to inspire, I want to motivate, I want to educate, I want to edify, I want to do it, I want to be global,
Yes.
right? And I told the guy, and while I told the guy that I was on Instagram and I was starting these things, and he says, "Oh, what's your name? What's your handle?" And I told him what the handle was, and literally he says, "Oh, I see you." He was looking, you know.
Wow.
So, these are the things that you want to do, but my ego is getting in my way. How long did it take you before you kind of broke, before you stepped out of that ego box?
Yeah. So, when you put it that way, I've wanted to do a business like Priestess Potions for years. Probably on some level and some way since I was in college. But at that point, I had no idea. The vision wasn't clear enough. I just had a feeling about myself like, yeah, I can get into media and stuff like that. And that's kind of interesting to me. So that feels good. So I'm glad I went down that road because it does serve me now. But there was always a part of me that was like, yeah, but if there was a way I could get paid and make a living off of just sharing the stuff that I'm really interested in, I would do that in a heartbeat. I just didn't have any sort of idea of how that would be. Um, at that time, I was like, little old me, like, and yes, in a way, because I didn't have the life experience really to be offering guidance to anyone at that point.
Mhm.
But it took me years, probably, um, wow, from the time I seriously started trying to pursue this as a career. My spiritual passions, I would say almost, yeah, 4 years or so. From the time I was like, I want to take steps into this direction to now, it's been about 4 years or so, 3 or 4 years. Yeah.
It's been about that for me, because
Yeah.
and I dare to be, when I stepped outside the box. I'm a leaper. I leaped out. I already had a YouTube, but I wasn't using it. I already had a Facebook that was only for family,
Yeah.
right? So I jumped onto the Instagram, and once again, that was my teenage granddaughter, who I came home from pool yoga, which closed up in my community building, due to COVID as well. But right before it shut down, the yoga instructor, I would always help her clean up and fold up her mats and everything. And I would talk a lot about manifesting and the law of attraction
Mm.
and stuff like that. She recorded me as I was doing it. And she says, Sandra, I want you to listen to me. And she played this back. She says, you have so much passion.
Mm-hmm.
Are you on any of the, are you on Instagram? Are you on this? Or what are you doing with this? Right. And I told her no. And she showed me her Instagram page. And this is the thing. This is how long it literally can take for the ego to jump in there. My apartment is like mm, l- less than a quarter of the way from the pool to my steps, right? Less
Mm-hmm.
than a quarter. Okay. Between that time, me listening to her and being excited about what she was saying, listening to myself and listening to how inspired she was about it, by the time I got to the door, I had almost talked myself out of it, right?
Oh, yeah.
Right. My granddaughter, who wasn't home when I left to go to yoga, opened the door and she said, hi, she calls me Nana. Hi, Nana, don't change. We're going to go to the pool. You don't have to get in, but we're going to go to the pool, hang out. Mom wants to know if you can hang out with us. And I said, well, I was thinking of, and this is all it was I was talking myself out of it. I was thinking of doing an Instagram, but I really don't know how to do that. So I'm not thinking that so and so told me. And not knowing this little girl or teenage girl, she's like 16 or whatnot, has my phone, setting up an Instagram page for me. She says, "Oh, what did Michelle tell you? Her page was it business or was it And she's setting up. Well, Nana, do you want this as a business eventually? And she's setting it up, and then hands me the phone. She says, "When you're ready to do your first video, let me know. I'll help you." And I've and literally on my phone, she says, and your password is this, this, and this. And she wrote it down on a little sticky. And she says, I know you won't lose it, you know. And it was just, she says you can start with candles and just, turn the camera around to the candles and just talk,
That's true.
right?
That's such
And
good
literally for the
advice.
first year, that's all I did.
Yeah. But I'm so happy you show yourself because I feel like, there's something about the way you talk that there's lots of different teachers on these platforms and in these social media streets. And everyone's cool, everyone's doing their own thing. But there's something about the way you talk that lets people know, I think, I'm speaking for myself, lets me know that you really do walk the talk. Like I can tell from the way you talk about this stuff and how deeply you go in these conversations that you really live this and have been living this for quite some time. It's all over you.
I've been, but I think what people like, what my granddaughter says is she likes that I'm transparent without being transparent.
Mm,
And the thing is, I'm only transparent not to have people pull me apart. I'm transparent because I want people to know that I've been where they are in one circumstance or another. I may not have lived your trauma, but there's a certain thing that was considered trauma to me that
mm-hmm,
I had to eventually work with or
mm,
deal with or cope with, or
mm-hmm,
or things that have been hidden that I go, it's not that I don't want you to be me. I want you to be you.
mm-hmm,
I want you to take this information and personalize it to you. You take what resonates to you, and then everything else you just leave in the room. If you don't believe, if you don't believe, if I believe in aliens and you don't, but you believe in manifestation, I could be talking about the law of attraction in one sentence, and then talking about my higher being coming from a different galaxy, and you're not there yet. Leave that.
Mm-hmm.
That's not going to be for you.
Yeah.
The manifestation part, that's going to be for you, and it's okay, because you can come back. I won't argue it with you. I'm not. If you make a statement in the comments that you don't believe that, I will say, let it be so.
Let it be so. And I love that you say that because it gives people permission. I think it gently also pulls people in because you're not making yourself right and them wrong. You're just saying, this is where I'm coming from. This is how I see it. This is my perspective in this universe. You have yours, and that's okay. If this isn't resonating, that's fine. By the way, I do believe in aliens.
Yeah, I do. I do too.
Yeah. I
I
was
well, the thing is, I believe
Mhm.
in them as just being higher beings, or the expression of the divine.
Mhm. Absolutely.
And just because we don't understand them, we express them, you know, as that. But
Yeah.
I believe that there are, when earth consciousness made the call out that she needed, this is how I believe when earth consciousness made the call that she could not shift without higher energy, every being and every expression of the divine answered the call. That's how special earth consciousness is. And because earth consciousness, or Gaia, those labels, however you want to label it, because earth consciousness says, I will not go anywhere without mankind or humankind.
Mm.
I will not go anywhere without mankind, womankind, or childkind. They are tethered to me. If I'm going to shift, they're going to shift. If you come to express and give me your energy, it is going to be shared with the all.
Yeah.
And then that's where I went, oh, this thing that we call aliens, they're an expression of the divine. And
Yeah.
this thing called the galaxy, that's the divine. And this thing that uh, um, scientists see through their big telescopes, and they see other galaxies, oh, that's an extension of the divine,
Yeah.
right? And so for me, but everyone has come to express.
Yeah.
Everyone gets to express, either they believe in aliens, or they believe aliens are, friendly, or they believe aliens are evil and out to get us. That's an expression.
And here's the thing. If you're here, I'm going to assume a lot of you believe in the law of attraction. So you know that what's outside of you is also a reflection of what's inside of you. So if you have this belief that there's an enemy outside of you, then that's gonna be the reflection you see. That's how I see it.
Yeah.
That's how
Well,
I relate to friendly aliens and
yeah, because I say there's so much that, and don't get me wrong, guys, I came from, as I was, growing and expanding and learning, I came from a born again. I came from grew up in a Baptist, or Southern Baptist, not Southern, Northern Baptist background, asking a lot of questions and making a lot of adults kind of squirmish, to moving into non-denominational, born again Christian stage. Also, when things didn't work out, I made a lot of people uncomfortable. I went through all these stages. So I went through the stage of telling people that they were damned and going to go to hell, because they did if they
Mhm.
didn't believe in Jesus Christ. But at that same time, I had that moment of clarity, that silence that says, what the am I doing? How can I go and scare someone, or attempt to scare someone half out of their mind, so that they'll believe something that I haven't even really dived into. I started in that, and then the teaching. I started utilizing the teaching, but not applying it to myself. Do you see what I mean? I didn't take it
Mhm.
in and sit with it. I just heard other people doing it. I said, "Oh, that's what I'm supposed to do. That's what being a born again Christian is: going out and doing what other people would say. Oh, Jehovah Witnesses are at the door. Don't let them in."
Mhm.
But born again Christians doing the same thing. And by the
Mm.
way, that's an expression. They get to do it, and the divine says, "That's a choice. That's an experience. Let it be so."
Let it be
But for
so.
me, I had to say, "Oh no, that doesn't work for me. I
Mm.
can't. How is that serving all to scare somebody into fearing something, to get them to believe something that might not, I'm not even feeling is true for myself,
Mhm.
for my highest and greatest good." But I couldn't tell them to go follow me because I was like, "Oh, I'm gonna check something else out." Right? I couldn't go and say, "Okay, I told you to do the wrong thing," because they're already doing their thing. They're in it. They're committed to it. I have to go, "Okay, well, I have to change me." That's where I had to learn, okay, I need to inspire and manifest,
Mm.
uh, and be open to, I would start planting seeds,
Yeah.
right? Then move it forward. I found out I can't plant seeds for anybody. I can give them the seed, and
Mhm.
they have to plant it themselves. So I've been through a walk,
Yeah, you really have.
and it's like, okay, take a breath, Sandra, because now I know what my skill is. My passion is, I'm a Gemini. As you can see, I love to talk. I will talk your ear off. And do you know what I mean? I love people. I love to see people thrive
Mm.
instead of just only survive. I got to
Mm.
that place where I felt the vibration of thriving inside me, and I said, "Oh, God, everybody should feel this way." And the divine says, "Yeah, I know, but not everybody's going to feel that way. You can only inspire them. You can only put the seed in their hand." Right? Because when I used to plant it for them and they would kick it up and come back and do the same rhetoric over again, I took it upon myself that I wasn't doing my job. I wasn't using my skill correctly.
Mhm.
Right? Have you
Yeah.
ever felt that way, that your gifts or your skills or your talents, when you shared them and they didn't go as planned, did you ever take it upon yourself that it was you that got it wrong?
Yeah. I mean, at that job, to be quite honest, that I was talking about, I was wanting to work in social media, and I manifested this job that allowed me to grow and learn the skills that I needed to do that. But there was always a sense that they were on one wavelength and I was on the other, on
Mhm.
this other wavelength. And I just couldn't get quite on the same wavelength as everyone else. And so a lot of the things I would consider myself really good at naturally, communicating, connecting with people, um, and I get like inspiring people or making them feel really good, um, or raising the frequencies and stuff like that. It just never quite landed correctly there. I never quite got into my groove. And it's not that they were doing anything wrong, or it's not that I was doing anything wrong either. It's just I was off while I was there. I couldn't be aligned and there at the same time, and it took me a while to get that.
Right.
Yeah.
Now, doing what you do now, do you feel the alignment?
I do feel the alignment, and I think the resistance comes when the part of me, the woman I had to be to exist at that job, pops up again. And she goes, what are we doing? Where are we going? You need to be the PR person. You need to be the business manager. You need to be you're running a business, so you know exactly what I mean. That woman pops up, and as long as I keep her in control, I keep her calm, I keep her relaxed and stuff like that. She does what I need her to do, because she gets things done in a timely fashion. She's good with deadlines and stuff like that because she had to train herself to be that way. But she's good for a little while, not for a long time. I don't know what the term is. She's good for a good time, not a long time.
Yeah.
That's that version of me. But 100% what I'm doing now is way more aligned than what I was doing back then. It's taken some of the gifts and skills I learned at that job and I get to apply it now, just doing what I've always loved doing anyway and on my time.
That was going to be my next question, because the gifts and skills that someone did a life path number for me, and I'm a life path number 4, which
Mm,
means that I do really well in accounting and blah blah blah, which happens to be the arena that I was in for the last 40 years, working for in the accounting departments of, believe it or not, 40 40-ish years with 4, maybe 5 companies. You could call it a 4.5 company, right?
mhm,
But they were literally these companies kept me for 8 years here, another 8 years there, 10 years here, 3 years there, or whatnot, which after a while it added up. Plus I stayed for with the when I first started, I started in Bank of America, and I started in the Bank of America General Ledger Department. And then I
mhm,
graduated to accounts receivable, and then accounts receivable and collections. And, so, and it was already always with mom and pops that wanted to grow. And then they would grow, then they would sell, and then, of course, when the seller would buy, the last department to go would be accounting, because they keep accounting on just so that things flowed, and then they would let go. But I was always, here's the thing, that the divine was always divinely protecting me, because I would always get a great recommendation. I would have my resume would always somehow always be in a neat uh, collection of readiness, and I would
mhm.
immediately get another job, right? And and
Wow.
and grow these skills, and grow these and have people that would say, Sandee, I want to send you to you want to go to school, so and so pays for school, you can take more accounting classes, take the so they were paying for me to do this. They were saying, make sure you keep all your receipts, one day you're gonna if you own your own company, you'll know the accounting part of your company. And most people, and now I get what they say, is that when I was working with their clients, trying to collect money for them from their clients would come to me and say, I wish I know what you knew. Because I would
Mm,
ask them, I said, well, why did you buy so much product? And they say, well, oh, your salesperson told us that we needed it. I said, well, it's seasonal. So if it's seasonal, then it ends up on your shelf, and you can't, unless you put it on the sale table, you're not going to make money back from what you paid for it, and you're still going to have to pay for it, right? So and or it's going to be on your shelf. And she says, there was a couple of them that said, I wish I had known this before I even started a business.
right.
Right. And I kind of said, well, can I ask you one question? I didn't know the word embodiment then, but I asked them a question. I would say, what is it about you that thought you needed to have own a company, or
Mm,
and the question was, or some of the answers, because I worked for a lot of music companies, or sheet music companies, or stuff like that, or magazine companies that did music, music books, and so to teachers. And one of the ladies says, well, I've written score music, and I was in an orchestra for over 30 years, and I love music, and I want the kids to know music, and I want the teachers to be able to have the music. See, this is a good embodiment.
Yeah.
But the thing was, they didn't know anything but that about the business. And
Mm.
I want to teach people that there's more than just that. Now that you've embodied what and why, then you get to know, do you want to be a sole owner? Do you want to have an employee? Do you have what it takes to have an employee? Do you want them to have the same standards and beliefs that you have? Well, now we're going into that realm of law of attraction, of cause and effect, the law of cause and effect. What you put out, you're going to get back. What are you putting out? Are you believing in yourself, or are you just saying the words and then inside you're doubting yourself?
Mm.
Right?
Yeah.
Okay. And this,
Misalignment.
yeah, misalignment. But this doesn't only have to be for people who are spiritually awake. This can be taught to people who are using their being in alignment with the energy, and not having it have anything to do with being religious or whatnot. That's what I want. That's the value that I want to take these gifts and my talents. Even if I'm having shit, I'm going to tell you, I have an off day some days where I'm going, all this back end shit
Yes.
of Instagram, of YouTube, of Spotify, I'm going to go nuts,
Yeah.
you know. But at the same time, I hear my higher being saying, you have to know all the back ends in order for you. Here's the kicker. This is what the divine told me. In order for you to know who to hire for you,
Mm.
what what they're doing, so that when you have that Friday, I want to get to know what you're doing for me meeting, when they talk their lingo, I know what they're talking about. And
Yes.
right, and I went, holy shit, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Okay, let me keep going. But it doesn't mean, guys, it doesn't mean I don't have like that, blow off some steam, throw the papers all in the air, and literally. And what I'll do to ground myself is I'll go on Instagram and I'll read a book out loud.
Mm.
I'll do my what is it, soul reading with Sandra. I'll just go pick up my book and I'll just turn on the live. Sometimes my makeup has wiped off, or I don't really use makeup, but it's like, everything. I don't even bother to like put blush back on or anything. I'm just there. I turn it on and I say, okay, this is for me. This grounds me. My dog is
Mhm.
sitting there next to me on top of my feet, and I'm grounding and I'm reading. Right. So sometimes it's about me being with my soul tribe, or my family, or anybody who wants to come in and hear about whatever I'm reading, that they're grounding me. And once I get that, and I close that energy, so that they don't take any of my energy with them, then I can, I get back on my computer and get back onto YouTube, or do whatever I need to keep doing, because I'm gonna get to that goal of, not that goal, that intention of being inspirational, being motivational, being not just a podcaster, but a speaker, and being universal about it, not just worldwide, but universal about it. So that anybody from any realm is listening into Soul Awakening with Sandra, they're getting the whole kit and caboodle,
Yeah.
right?
Yes. And there's so much wisdom in what you just shared in terms of your process, because what the traditional 9 to 5 grind taught me is that no matter what I felt, I needed to show up at work. Irregardless of what was going on in my life. And there's a level of, inauthenticity in that, you know what I'm saying? At times that was really hard for me I know it's not hard for everyone, but for me, that was very difficult to get used to.
Oh, the
Um,
grind is just the grind is just a hard thing to get used to. It's
oh
so
yeah,
very it's very for me it's very demeaning
yeah,
to me. It was very demeaning to me because it meant that I had to get someone else was packaging that grind up, and then I was being told this is how it works. You got to grind, grind, grind to get what you want. That means you got to work hard, even if it's not working for you. The harder you work, and the less you get, you still got to keep going. It,
yep,
it wasn't working for me either. That's
yep,
why when I started to find out more about embodiment, and that came from a lot of avenues, Michael Beckwith, Michael Singer, it came from just a lot of different, Rhonda Byrne, the Secret, and a lot of other books. I mean, I've got so many. Look at those books back there,
yes,
and so it comes from all these different places that was telling me grind isn't it.
no,
It doesn't mean that it's okay for the world. Yes, it's okay for the world. If that's what they want, the divine says, let it be so. That's their story. But it doesn't have to be mine. But when I found out I didn't want that, at the same time, I didn't know what I wanted, what was going to replace that, right?
yeah. And yeah, exactly. And for me, I love that you keep saying let it be so. It's like a magical word for me. Ashe, let it be so. Whatever you want, let it be so, like a genie. When you say that, I think I'm going to start saying that in my own life because it reminds me to be mindful of whatever story I'm running in my head.
Mhm.
But what I was going to say also is in doing that at work, it took me a long time to. I met some teacher. I was doing some sort of movement trauma thing at the time, and she said, if you're feeling out of sorts or whatever, and you're having a response reaction, forget whatever you were doing before. Go to nurture. Nurture yourself. And I was like, it started off as a very small concept, but it had a huge impact on my life because around the time that I learned that skill, months later, we went into the pandemic and I really could go to nurture. So I would have a really hard um, meeting with people. And at the time, I had a manager, bless her heart. She was not as bad as I made her out to be in my mind. I can own that now. I was in a bad place. So every little criticism I got from her stabbed me in the heart.
Right.
It was bad. I was really not in a great place emotionally at that time. Plus, family members were getting sick. It was a lot. So after a meeting, I would just, you go to your book when you're feeling frustrated. I would go to my room and take a nap. 30 minutes, no one knew. I would chant for a little while, or I would play some stuff in the background to help get my frequency and energy together. And I started to, at first, I felt guilty doing that because I felt like I'm doing something on company time that I'm not supposed to do. But I'm a human being. I have feelings, I have emotions, I'm going through a lot, and I deserve to take care of myself. And I can't regulate, or excuse me, regulate. I was regulating. I can't relegate um my feelings and emotions only for after work hours or my lunch break. Like it's just not a natural normal way of being for me. And so being an entrepreneur, being a business owner and having that flexibility is really beautiful because I do the same thing when I get frustrated with stuff, taxes, there's lots of things, components to being your own business owner, your own boss. When I get frustrated, I take a breather. I go outside for a couple of hours. I'll take a nap. I'll do something else. I'll take a shower
Yeah.
and redo my makeup if I want to, just cuz it makes me feel good sometimes. I'll go to my favorite coffee shop and just sit in there with a cappuccino and for no good reason, just
Right.
cuz it makes me feel good to be there and just reset and go to nurture. So I just had to call that out because I think that it's a something you do, but it's something that we should all really think about in our own lives. How can you regulate yourself? How can you go back to nurture when you're feeling out of sorts? Because you deserve to be tended to as well,
Right.
not just the
Exactly
world.
right.
Yeah.
What I if when I first did the and I have to laugh about that. When I first got did the retirement, it
Mm.
took me a good, I don't know, 6, 7, and maybe even longer, maybe almost a full year to get used to the fact that I didn't have any rules.
Right.
I didn't have any. I mean, I could get up when, but I was an early riser anyway because I was just starting to learn how to do the videos and to, to do all this. And I could be on IG as long as I wanted. I could spend all day on it if I wanted, because this was what my intention was. And then I started to listen to people that started to say, well, you need to take a break and you need to do this and you need to uh, 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 whatnot. But I was just, I was free.
Mm-hmm.
I was free. I didn't have to get up and be into work for someone else.
Mm-hmm.
I was doing what I said I wanted to do when I was at the job, and I was looking at the window, watching the people drive by, going, I wish I could be, some of them that are, entrepreneurs and could, and had the time to take time for themselves to drive here or do here or, whatnot. I wanted to be them. But for a long time, being a single mother and, a divorcee and a single mother and raising my kids and, being the breadwinner and that kind of thing. When it got to literally the time it took me to retire 2 years earlier, it took me another year to go, oh, wait, I didn't have to jump up out of bed and go, I went, I don't have anything to do today,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
Didn't mean that I didn't take my shower. It didn't mean that I didn't put on my makeup. It didn't mean I got ready to do my videos, even though the camera was facing the candles, and I was using my voice and talking about the law of attraction. And I mean, if you look at my Instagram, if you go all the way back to the beginning, I think there's about 1,000 uh, videos there. But if you ever made it back to the beginning where those were, you'll see my videos were catawampus. I started out watching them or filming them vertical, and they would go horizontal and then back to vertical. You know, so so but to me it wasn't my job. I didn't call it a job. I didn't even know to call it an intention then. It was what I wanted to do. And then I would hear
Mm-hmm.
people say, you need to take a break, you need to not be on the Instagram so long, you need um
You should.
yeah, you should, when it's like, no, this is what I want to do,
Yeah.
right?
It's who you are.
Yeah, it's who I am. It's what I want to do. Now I don't do the, what did they call it, the back end of it, saying, well, you've got to do three. I had somebody say, well, it's not about you and the divine, it's about your platform and its algorithm. And that was the first time that I actually heard the divine say, well, wait a second, I'm your algorithm.
Yes.
I'm your algorithm. And then I had to change it. Now, a lot of people didn't like that when I said that. No, no, no. You have to do, three videos a day. You have to do this and you have to do that. And then at the same time, in the same breath, say you're on Instagram way too much. Every time I see you, my what is it, my notifications is going off. I've had a lot of, well, not a lot, maybe 2 people stop following me because my notifications kept going off for them. Not that they could turn the notifications off, but And then the divine says, what do you care if somebody stops following you?
Yeah,
Think about the ones who do.
absolutely.
Right. And I went, okay, because I'm here to I'm here to serve. I just recently in the last 2 weeks realized what to serve others means.
Mm,
It doesn't mean put somebody else before yourself. It means being in service to others means being in service to the whole, and I am part of the whole. And I'm
period.
okay.
Period.
Now I know how to use my skills. Now I know how to use my talents. Now I know how to, service to others means service to wholeness, and I'm part of the wholeness,
Yeah.
right? It's like, okay, 57 solar returns around the sun, and I'm just now getting that.
And you look good.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Because here that I don't even know how to use a filter, but I finally use the lights and go, okay, this is the way it's going to be, and this is me. I have
Yeah.
I have some. I finally went. I did acting for, I don't know, about maybe 3-4 years, and I did that using the uh, uh, that was a skill. I always wanted to do that. Never took really. I took 8 acting classes, right? I
Mm,
did. I took acting classes. I did the law of attraction. I actually that vibrated for me. It happened. I wanted to do it ever since I was a kid. I said, why not manifest it? So I manifested it, and it happened. I had somebody who I told him. I said, I've never worn makeup. What I consider makeup is maybe a little eyeshadow, uh, kind of like, color in my eyebrows, right?
yeah.
And put some gloss on and maybe some blush. That's what
Very,
I,
very
right?
French.
Yeah, right. But with the acting, I had to learn how to do, because some places, here's what I'm leaving out. When I did the acting, I was working an 8-hour job. That meant I had to figure out how to go on auditions while still working an 8-hour job. And the vibration of the law of attraction allowed through my work. My
Mm,
supervisor said, "Oh, we're really excited for you," and suggested, "Well, see if you can come in early as 7 o'clock, and be off by 3. And if you can do your interviews 3 and after, or 2 and after, then you can make the interview." And then I said to one of them, I said, "Well, what if I book something?" She says, "We'll figure that out at the next step. You've
mm,
got vacation. We'll figure that out." Meanwhile, these are other people that are on the opposite. Well, wait a second. What if you get something and you have to quit your job altogether? What are you going to do then? You're a single mother. You've got kids. They were the voice of the negative of what's going to happen, which is what the ego takes hold of. But I managed it. I took out of the mix that I was my own. I became my own manager,
mm,
own agent. Somebody helped me get on websites where I could go in and send my headshot in and book. So I could book uh, uh, indie films. I could book student films because I had to build my reel, right? And these things. So I got to do things, but while doing that, I got to find out more about myself, the embodying part.
mhm,
The little girl in me enjoyed the acting, but the adult girl liked the way that I had my lifestyle situated for my children. And I had to go, okay, I've played enough in this realm of playtime because I don't want my kids sleeping on other people's couches while I'm trying to become a movie. And here's the word that came up: a movie star.
Mm-hmm.
Because I had to go, who do I want to be? Oh no, it's not. I don't want to be a movie star. I like being. Uh, I like doing the script and being that person and bringing that person to character, but I don't want to become a movie star for it.
Mm-hmm.
So I went, okay, playtime's over. But in it, I learned makeup wasn't makeup unless it was foundation.
Mm-hmm.
And so while I was there, the divine put in my path all these people who said, you have such beautiful features. When you're done with this, take the makeup off right away. And they would tell me certain stuff. Okay, you want this, but it's more natural for your face. It won't strip your face.
Mm-hmm.
And there would be certain people that would say, you want me to help you take the makeup off before you leave? And we could just, leave you with, a little blush or whatnot. So yeah, so then one girl says, all you need is blush. And you know what you can do with blush? And I said, no, what? She says you can take it not only for your cheeks, you can brush it around your face,
Yep.
and it just highlights you. And that
Mm-hmm.
literally, guys, that's all I do.
Yep.
So and then of course, my I fill in my tattooed eyebrows that I haven't tattooed in a while. Because guys, I don't have, these are fake, and I lost my eyebrows when I was doing my radiation treatments.
Mm-hmm.
But I didn't spend a lot of time going woe is me about it. Even that, I just said, ooh, I wonder I wonder how it would feel if I had my eyebrows tattooed. And put it out there in the universe. And then all my son said, Mom, I found this esthetician, and we can go in half, and you can go in and see if she'll do my eyebrows. She did them. It lasted literally 10 years. And now I just pencil them in.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I have to decide, do I want to do it again? And I've decided, guys, I am going to go to an esthetician and get them tattooed again. I don't want to do a henna. I don't just really want to keep going to somebody every 6 months.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Just,
Yeah.
kind of, and that's literally all I do, you know.
I'm like the opposite. When I stopped doing makeup when I became depressed,
Mhm.
but also I've grown up with YouTube, right? In the early 2000s, mid 2000s, whatever. And suddenly these makeup skills that were maybe reserved for makeup artists were available to many of us via that platform. And so there's a whole culture around beauty and makeup online now that was born from that, though, that opening up this world. And there's more brands out there than Mac now. It's not just Mac, it's all
Yeah,
over. There's lots of different brands. But
right.
I always made it a point, not to transform myself with makeup, keeping it as natural enhancing as possible, but not like, it's not like when I take this off, I've definitely come on camera without makeup on, just because I don't want this space that I do have some makeup on, by the way, to define me. I'm beautiful because I say I am,
Right.
period. Like, I'm gorgeous, but that's because it's coming from inside
From
of
the
me, not
inside.
because of not
Because
because of what I do with my face.
literally that's what I will do. Sometimes I'll get up and I'll be on a live and literally not have my eyebrows, nothing, nothing on, and hair pulled back, and and whatever. It's like, okay, this is for the divine, or it's for a calling, or a purpose, or whatnot. But it's kind of like getting more. I've always been comfortable with myself not having makeup on.
Mm,
I had my baby brother, who is a Gemini as well. He's 3 years younger than I am. I believe he's my twin that my mother had in her womb that she just didn't give up until three
wow,
years later,
that's
or
cute.
kind of like, what do you call that? My my what do they call it? Not soulmate, but my twin flame. I believe that's my baby brother. And he
Mm,
always said, he would always tell you, don't put the war paint on you, Sandee. He literally, that's what he would do. He says, you don't need it. And literally, when I was with him, I wouldn't. So much of my where teens were, putting it on full, I wasn't, because I had my baby brother. And then I also had, when I did want to put on makeup, I had a big sister who kind of led, oh, all you need is this, showed me how to, brush my eyelids without having to put mascara on them or whatnot. So I had people that would that would give me that love for
Yeah.
me without it on. And then, like I said, I didn't start using it until I did the acting thing. But then I
Yeah.
also had people then who showed me how to utilize it and always remind me, don't fall asleep in it, you know,
Yes.
and that kind of thing, and stay out, when you don't need to be in the lights of the camera, go stand outside, don't stand in the lights, or go stand somewhere else where there are no lights, and that whole kind of thing. So,
Yeah.
and then I just have to say, my mother and my father gave me good genes, right? I
Yeah.
have to, I have to give props where props are due. It's My mother was a very, very beautiful woman, and I'm glad
Mhm.
to have some of her cells, some of her skin, some of her structure.
Mm.
So, and my father too, you know.
Yeah. When did I have a question for you? When did you start doing light language? When did you discover you had that gift? And how was it deciding to share that online publicly?
It Well, the light language itself happened online publicly. I was
Mm.
on Instagram when it no, no. I wasn't. It happened, and then okay, this is what happens. When I was listening to Abraham Hicks, right? Well, I'll take you even further back.
Mm-hmm.
When I was going between the ages of 10 and 16, I used to go, when I would always have an embodying question, my mom would always put her hands on her hips. Okay, you're asking this question, Sandy. I don't know the answer. What church do you want to go to now? It would
Mm-hmm.
always be, I have an embodying question. I want to find out what is the Baptist church holding back. I go to a Methodist church or whatnot. So I went with a friend, and we went to a holiness church.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And it was a holiness church that spoke in tongues. And at the end of the service, there was this lady. It was only her that was speaking in tongues. The other women, they were catching the Holy Ghost, but they weren't speaking any other language. This one lady was. And I listened, and it was like I felt I understood.
Wow.
Inward, I felt I understood, not through the mind. I couldn't make sense of it, but I
Right.
turned and I said to my friend, I'm going to speak like that one day. And she turned back to me, yep, I think you are. Kind of like that was her version of, I don't know, 13 or 14 saying, let it be so, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So when I got home, I talked about it a little bit to my mom, and she told me, okay, that's speaking in tongues. That's the language of God, whatnot. And of course, as a teenager then, I didn't think about it anymore because, I was on to going back to my church, and then annoying the adults with what I found out from the holiness church and about
Mm-hmm.
speaking in tongues, and, them saying, well, that's not a thing, yeah, you can catch the Holy Ghost, but speaking in tongues, blah, blah, blah. And so bring it back forward when I was listening to, Abraham Hicks, I remember saying something to a friend of mine who's not the friend that I hung out with when I was a kid, she was saying, I said something and I said, well, Abraham Hicks, channel, blah, blah, blah. And, and she basically said, well, Abraham Hicks isn't God. Okay. She's Jewish. Okay. And I said, oh, that doesn't make sense to me because I thought everything was God. I thought, do you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So I said, and after I talked with her, I went on YouTube and I was listening to another episode of whatever Abraham Hicks was doing. I can't tell you which one it was. And I just said, I thought to myself, I want to hear you. And I heard this vibration say, who do you want to hear? I said, you.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And all I heard was, oh, okay. It was like in this very garbled vibrational, conversation. I
Mm-hmm.
can't even tell you if it was English, but I heard whatever the conversation was. I understood it. I said, oh, okay. And it said, oh, okay. So when I was taking my meditational bath, after I did my affirmations and whatnot, I laid down in the bath water and I just started listening to the water speak to me. And all of a sudden, my mouth was moving, but the voice that was coming out of it was not mine. It wasn't light language yet. It was my soul speaking to me through me. And it sounded like I was speaking through an ocean of water. That's all I
Mm-hmm.
can tell you. Just an ocean of water, right? And and maybe so I started to get used to that. I started to acclimate with that. I started to make it part of my routine to have a conversation, to ask myself questions, to listen and allow it without judging it. Okay.
Yeah.
And really not telling anybody. I just like it was like to me at that point in time it was uh an understanding of me talking to my higher self and it just being, oh, it's just us. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's our little secret, right?
Mm-hmm.
Then what happened was I was on a a live with a gentleman by the name of Marcus Crystal Light Robbins. And he was speaking light language. And, I was talking and teaching and whatnot. And we ended up doing, there was a little bit dark night of the soul that he helped me move through. And I took a meditational bath afterwards. And here, when I opened my mouth, there was this language. It was not audible. What do you call it? It was not English, like my soul was moving through my words, my English words like normal, and through the water. It was a whole different language, and I felt when the language came through, I could see I was somewhere different.
Mm-hmm.
Here it did not sound, Jelisa, it did not sound like everybody else's light language. So I thought it was my ego playing with me,
Mm-hmm.
right? Because it didn't sound like Lemurian. It didn't sound like Arcturian. It didn't sound, where they had the high little,
Mm-hmm.
it wasn't like that. It sounded ancient, but it sounded like it could be some type of galaxy of um, mm, uh, Native American, but from far away, very very old. Every time I would speak it, and I wouldn't share it. I was like, okay, this can't be real because it's not like what everybody else is speaking like,
Mhm.
right? So I asked, I said, well, you know what, if you need to help me understand this. This is what I told my higher being, and this is what I told God. If this is part of me and it's real, show me that which I cannot see with my physical eyes, I cannot hear with with my ears. Shh, tell me, show me. And literally I was on another live with Marcus, and we were I was just listening to him because he was doing light language, and I was just sitting there and I was rocking. I mean, I was talking and sharing the message, the information. He brought another lady on. Her name was, at that time, her name was Shauna Lee, and she started singing light language, but it sounded like me. It sounded like home.
Mm.
Then when she stopped singing, she started talking. And at that point, as I was rocking, I could feel like it felt like phlegm coming up in my throat. Now I know when I feel that, it's protection for the energy that's coming out of there. And literally, I just took off.
Mm.
It just happened. It, it just, the divine, I guess the divine says, here it is.
Mm.
It was no decision of mine to be online with it. It was just, it happened,
Yeah.
right? So I think that was the, what do you call it, light language activation, was being in a room with somebody who was an activator,
Mhm.
and then within the room again with someone who was a what do you call it, a giving me the confirmation that this is real,
Mhm.
this is the gift, this is the time.
Mhm.
And also, after that, I started getting people who started following me saying I activated them.
Mhm.
So there I had to stop again because I'm going, what? I don't even know what that is. And at that same time where I had, okay, explain this to me, she, Shauna Lee, DM'd me and said, I'm to tell you that you activated some people. You may not understand it right now, but as you meditate more on it, you'll grow. This is a gift. This is the purpose, right? So a lot of the times, the gift that I have is I don't always, what do you call it? Most people who speak light language, I notice that they can automatically translate, and I don't do it very often, the translation.
Mhm. You just trust the message.
I just trust the message. I allow myself to be the vessel, and the divine says everybody has a higher being that understands it. And if
Mhm.
some of them, the message is going to them because they're already sitting at the seat of their soul, and that message is coming through.
Mm.
And then there are some that are going to, it's going to anchor, and then they're going to be with someone who will help them, who will translate it for them, kind of like the seed is planted. They're going to be with somebody who's going to be the water, or the tiller to till the,
Mhm.
like tilling land, you know and whatnot. So it was like, oh, okay,
Yeah.
right.
And I'm glad you said that. I'm sorry, did I interrupt you?
No, 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 you didn't.
Okay. You said you felt like you were connecting to this ancient, maybe Native American
Oh, it's,
energy.
yeah, way older than that.
even older than that. But I was looking at you before you said that, and I was like looking at your jewelry and your hair, and I was like, I wonder if she has any like indigenous American ancestry. I was like actually thinking that before you said that piece. So it's like it's a, but you may or you may not, but it's like a soul thing too. It's
It,
what it's about what shines through. Go ahead.
it's kind of like, okay, so when I was a kid, I used to get annoyed because I used to get people that would look at my features and they would say, they would always say, oh, you've got some, white or European in you. Because I would always have like this European.
Yeah, nose and features.
So, and I used to get annoyed. And one day I was visiting my dad, and he says, "Oh, Sandee." No, he doesn't call me Sandee. He used to call me, "Oh, knucklehead," because I used to, if I get hold of something, I just go for it, and he would call me his little knucklehead because I wouldn't stop until I got the a result, not the
Hmm.
result that I wanted, but a result. And sometimes it would be I would try it. I would keep trying to get till I get it. And he says, "You're just," and he would call me hard headed because I keep doing it. He says, "Knucklehead, what's going on?" I said, "I'm just kind of tired of people at school, asking me if I have white in me, or if I'm European, if I have some European." And he just, this is the way he used to laugh. Right? So just air coming out of his teeth. And then he put his hand on he says, "Nobody ever told you that your great grandmother was, black and uh, Indian or native, well, they called it Indian back then,
Yeah,
and European." And I went,
that's
"What?" And he says, "Hence your features," right? And I went, "Oh, okay. Okay, simple." So, but I didn't spend time explaining that to people. Now I could just go, okay, whatever, right? But now the I could see where now the lineage where the generational, where it came from,
hmm
right? Because there is a I don't know what to call it. There is a vibrational story of where my higher being came from. What you
right.
see what I mean? Where it's um, where it's gotten used to a certain feature,
Yeah,
right? Through whatever I'm trying to think of the right, where it's gotten used to a certain feature every time it reincarnates. But the feature isn't solely an earth feature. It's from wherever the eon is, years, eon upon eon. My soul is old. That's all I know. My soul tells me it's old. It's older than I'll ever know. But if I want to know, I could always ask. But I don't really ask. But my soul has told me what the name of my language is, that they keep asking. So you just tell them it's called the knowing. It's not Atlantean. It's not any of the others. It's just called the knowing, and it's ancient. It's
mm,
it's it's more than ancient, right? So I go, okay. So, but I know it's kind of like it. My soul has says, I love this version of this of this beingness, not human being, but how it can bring and sculpt this version that it likes, and how it shows up. And I go, okay,
hmm
I kind of understand it. Who knows? Maybe this will be the last version it uses. Maybe it's got another what I think, it's got skin suits that
yeah,
that it's got hanging up, and it just goes, oh, I'll take this one, and I'll put this one on. And sometimes we kind of wonder that I know I came through a human birth. I know, right? But there are a lot of higher beings that have human suits that never were born.
Hmm.
Do you know what I mean?
No, tell me about that.
I was I
Like walk-ins?
no, not walk,
Okay.
though that happens.
Mm-hmm.
That does happen. There are souls that say, I don't want to do this anymore. Can you take over?
Mm-hmm.
Right. So what happens is either you have a car accident or near death experience, or sometimes you just have a dream and you wake up feeling like a different person,
Yep.
things like that. But there are a lot of how did the divine, it's they're here for a purpose. They come in, they put on the suit. I'm here to do this. I can't wait to be born to do it. So I've got this facade, you know, and then I'm here. I'm going to do this. Some of them just come to be in the background, kind of like
Mm-hmm.
an extra, a fill-in, day player,
Mm-hmm.
right? And when I heard that, I went, "Am I that?" And my my higher being went, "No."
Mm.
But you came in knowing a lot more than you do know,
Yeah.
you know. So a lot more than you're totally understanding.
Mm.
But it was only meant for me to understand it now. Because I
Yeah.
used to go, well, why did you wait till I got, in my 50s? Because now you're prepared.
Mm-hmm.
Now you're willing to understand it. Now you're willing to stand on your own and say, nope, this is who I am. This is my embodiment. These are my gifts, my tools, my skills. This is what I'm going to use it for. And then even and stand on my own, so that even though the people that I love says, you're gonna you're stepping out into area where something's gonna happen, and I'm not gonna be there for you. You're always doing this, and me going, it's okay. I got
Wow.
you know now, right?
So it's like almost like conditional. If you're not who I think you should be to be safe, then maybe I can't fully love you or something like that,
Yeah,
or be there.
or support you and back. I kind of like being like, oh, you want $5,000 and you want it for this business, or you want it to hold space so that you can work on this project, this acting project for 6 weeks. But I don't agree that you should quit your job to work on this project for 6 weeks.
Right.
Right. I don't agree with it. I don't support you with it. I'm not going to be part of what might make you happy,
Yeah.
right? Okay, in the younger years, I might have gone with that, right? And then my divine says you have to get old enough to stand on your within,
Yes.
within your inner knowing of who you want to be and what you want to do, and that nothing here was made to be easy, or but everything was meant to flow,
Yeah.
right? See, we stop looking at it's not easy breezy. No, it wasn't meant to be easy. What was a promise was that change will always occur.
Yeah.
Promise to you that no matter where you look, change is going to happen. You can resist it all you want, but it's going to keep coming back around. And now is when you wake up into your fullness. You've always been having it. You've always been asking the embodying questions. You've always, for me, up until the age of 30, I truly believe that my mother was not just my mother. She was my spiritual she was my spiritual angel, or my spiritual guide, that also decided it wanted to birth children.
Mm.
It birthed, four other children. Okay, I don't know what their stories are or how it's impacting. I know me, and I know that my embodiment for me, I know that my mother was my spiritual guide. I know,
Wow.
right? I know that now. As growing up, I just always thought, oh, my mom, I've got a pretty cool mom. My mom is my mom and she's my best friend, you
That's
know,
so dope.
right? And, but now I understand, oh, she was here to guide me on whatever I came into this world awake as.
Mm.
The awakeness part was that I was always allowed to have those embodying questions. Doesn't mean
Right.
It doesn't mean, guys, that I was living a perfect life. Doesn't mean that I didn't have some traumas and some trials and tribulations or trauma or, traumas. Just because I didn't have childhood traumas where I had a uncle who raped me or brothers who raped me or a dad who raped me or any of those things doesn't mean that I wasn't going through trials and tribulations. It just meant that as a young child, and into my 30s, I had a person that I could bounce that back on or allow me to have embodying questions. Doesn't mean the rest of the adults that were around her were doing what she was doing. They were giving shade or they were giving resistance. It just means on some of the questions, I got to ask those embodying questions so it could lead me to here. At the age of 30, man, when my mom passed, I felt a disconnect from even though I wasn't disconnected from the divine. I felt a disconnect when my mom passed
Mm.
because I felt there wasn't who I didn't feel that guidance or that protection, that
Mm-hmm.
allowance, right? But it was that, get this, I had to, instead of allowing it to bottle up and cork at my root chakra and you know allow that to just be bubble wrapped over everything and then have something sit on it
Mm-hmm.
and not totally feel it all the way, you know, that was that was the next layer of that I had to that was part of my dark night of the soul that
Mm.
guys I didn't know I was going through.
Mm.
But that was what helped me get to identifying my gifts and how I was going to use them in not just only with my collective soul family, but the world. I came in here to be a light. I came in here to shine. I was born to shine. All of us are born to shine. The moment we came into the earth realm, we were bringing the realm that we came from, the realm of
Yeah.
divine or heaven or whatever you want to call it. We were bringing that into this physical realm. And some shit is going to just be heavy. And I just realized, oh, it wasn't meant to be perfect. And we were meant to play instead of work really hard at it. If we if we play like we were when we were in school, then we could go get the job that we wanted to go get because we just play. We put on the costume and we go play. Just like when I was a kid, we had this thing. It was the things we played on when I was a kid in the 60s, man. It was metal and it spun around and you pushed it till it got up to a certain speed and then you jumped on top and you stood there and held on while it went around and around and around, and then while it was going around you jumped off, right? When we were kids back then, we didn't think about skin in our knees, we didn't think about, we just jumped. We didn't think about, straddling the fence. We just, jump over the fence. We didn't look down and say, "Ooh, I might break my knees when we jump. We just jump."
Yeah.
And we, most of the time, a good 99.9% of the time we survive.
Hmm.
So when we dive into the abyss of the the unknown of us, we need to start understanding that we can dive in thinking that we're going to thrive instead of just survive it. It took me till, I don't know, it's been maybe 10 years getting to that point of I'm a thriver. So even some days I'm sitting here going, I am the vibration of currency, and currency in all its forms is attracted to me. Just my
Mm.
eyes may not see it right now, so I have to get quiet. It might not but it's transforming, and it's my bank account isn't showing it yet. So I tell my daughter, she does it to me, I do it to her. She'll call me and she says, "Are she's out of town right now?" And she says, "Are you okay, Mom?" I said, "Well, I'm not going to, make a I don't want to make a negative vibrational response." I said, "I am thriving in the moment because I have what I need right at this moment. And then the next thing that I will need will come in a new moment." It doesn't mean that my bank account isn't sufficient enough. It means that I have to be patient. I have to give myself grace, you know and I can say, when somebody says, "Can you do X, Y, and Z?" I can go, "No, I can't do it at this moment."
Mhm.
And that be all right with me.
Mhm.
Does not have to be all right with them,
Mhm.
right?
It's
And
a.
if you think about that, you
Mhm.
can take that into your work area. You can take that into um, um, growing your business. That "no" is a sufficient two-letter sentence with either a period, an exclamation point, but never a question mark.
Period.
Yep. Right.
Yeah.
Wow, we've done almost this 4:57. We've done 2 hours. This is wonderful.
It's flown by, right?
Right. It's flown by. It doesn't feel that long.
No. Once we got over the turbulence at first, we just been flowing and flowing.
Flowing and flowing.
Mm.
So, and for what I will say is, forgive me because I cannot see any comments on YouTube, but
Right.
I will try to figure out how. I think I will be able to share the link with you of this. So, you know, so let me find that out, and then that way you can review it and see if anybody has asked any questions.
Yeah.
It's not like this one isn't like Instagram where I can click you as a collaborator. So,
Yeah.
but you know what? There's a way.
Yeah.
I just have to figure it out. But I know
Yeah.
I can share the link with you so that you can actually see the whole video.
Awesome. And um then you're gonna post it on YouTube, or is it already posted there?
It will already be on my YouTube under the folder that's called Live.
Gotcha.
So,
Awesome.
yeah, so you can go and check it out that way as well. But I want to see if I can send you the link. So I got to figure that one out. You know,
Okay, no problem.
yeah, but definitely go to my YouTube after we've done it, and you can. There'll be a couple of tabs there, and it'll say live, and it'll be there. I just won't have thumbnails up for it or any of that stuff yet.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. Okay, so while we're ending this, before we end this, let me go to my next thing here. Okay. Hey, I'm getting it together. Please tell people where they can find you.
I am Jelisa of Priestess Potions. And Sandra, thank you so much for that amazing introduction earlier. You can find me at Priestess Potions on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, and YouTube, even though I don't really have YouTube content yet. Um, and priestesspotions.com. So please come say hello to me. I love making new friends and talking with you guys in the DM. Let me know if you have any questions about herbal potions that you can use in your daily life, to help you get your life together, get them hormones together, get the energy up naturally. I'm here to answer your questions and get that libido going as well.
Right. Yes.
Yeah.
Get that libido going. Okay. If you want to follow me, also, you can follow me on Instagram. I have my Instagram tab up on the left here. I don't know. It might be your right, but it's on my left right there.
Hmm.
Um, and follow this young lady. Okay. You know, growth and expansion happens in all different ways for everyone. And
Hmm.
the divine has been having individuals awaken for purpose and on purpose with a purpose. Let's put it that way.
Period.
So if you are in need,
Mm.
if you have a question, if it even if there are no stupid questions, there
No.
are no dumb questions. There is just a question that needs an answer. For every question, there is an answer. For every problem, there is a solution. All you need to know is to be able to go to someone who might be available to you to give you a possibility of an answer.
Mm.
There are infinite possibilities to figure out how to work with you.
Hmm.
So join me on my Instagram. I do star meditations with light language. I do oracle and light language readings. I have an oracle deck, and I do soul conversations with Sandra, the podcast, that also is live on Instagram. But if you miss it on Instagram, I have it on Spotify, and it's all soul conversations with Sandra, so you can find it that way. All right. This is new Soul Talk with Sandee M, because it's about your gifts and it's about your talents and it's about your how you use them. It's
Hmm.
not it's not about just having them and them opening up to you and you hoarding them. It's about,
Hmm.
do you want to share them?
Hmm.
Understand that even if you don't want to share them, even if they make you feel uncomfortable right now, it's okay that you don't want to share them. Take what resonates, leave what doesn't. Okay. But if you want to talk to someone about them, Jelisa, DM on Instagram, check her out on TikTok, check her out on even her YouTube. Even though she doesn't have a whole lot post, maybe she can start with you, right? So thank you so much for
Thank
joining me,
you.
Jelisa. Thank you so much for working with me through all the little. Oh, this has been fun.
Thank you so much. And it's very inspiring to see another melanated woman show up in this space, in the spiritual space. Because I feel like it gives other melanated women, everyone, but especially us, permission to embody and accept all of ourselves and show up as all of ourselves. And it doesn't have to be any narrow box. It can be anything.
It can be an oblong box. It could be a circle. It
Yes.
could be, the what is that one? The infinity,
Yeah.
right? And you remember bringing yourself to the seat of your recipe. You're the main ingredient.
Mm,
Why did I say seat of your recipe? Because the recipe rests on you.
mm,
However you want to be in whatever area of your life you are functioning in, and that includes your business, and that includes your personal life, and that includes your spiritual or your religious life. That all areas of you are made to grow, made to shift, to grow, to expand, to evolve, and then start it again.
Mm-hmm.
It never stops,
It never stops.
right? So this is what I'm here for. Soul Talk with Sandee,
Yep.
about your skills, your talents. Even if you haven't had an awakening moment, it's about what you're doing with your skill, your talent.
Mm-hmm.
Where you know what? Karma is a drop off point. It's
Mm-hmm.
not a point where you need to judge yourself. Karma is a drop off point. It says, I've done this, I put this out. Karma is another word for cause and effect. I've done this, I put this out, it came back to me. And it's a drop off point of, what do I want to do next? What
Yep.
now? Who do I want to be now in the very next moment? It's not
Mm.
about you judging you. It's about you having a discerning moment and saying, who do I want to be? What do I want to do? And how do I want to expand? And then guess what? You get to go do it, because the divine says, let it be so. So thank you very much for joining us. This
Thank you.
has been so much fun. And I look forward to seeing you again next Saturday for Soul Talk with Sandee M. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.